Yeah, you've probably heard of some of these Metroidvanias, but I guarantee you're overlooking just how good they really are. These games still hold up today and deserve way more love than they're getting. So let's talk about 10 incredible Metroidvanias. Some classics, some forgotten, that absolutely need a second chance right now.
Please, help us!
Dust and Elysian Tale is one of those games that quietly dropped, blew a few minds, and then faded into cult status way too fast. It's got everything you'd want in a Metroidvania: tight combat, a stunning hand-drawn world, and real emotional weight behind the story. You play as Dust, a mysterious swordsman who wakes up with no memory and a talking sword that somehow knows more than it lets on. From there, it's a ride through forests, mountains, caves, and ruined cities, all beautifully animated like a high-end cartoon that never got its chance on TV. The combat hits that sweet spot between simple and stylish. You can chain attacks, launch enemies into the air, and even combo them mid-flight with flashy spins and elemental magic. The real kicker is how smooth it all feels. You cancel animations, link dodges into combos, and time your magic bursts to keep enemies stunned or juggled. The feedback is instant and satisfying, with sparks flying and enemies reacting hard to each hit. It rewards aggressive play but still makes you think, especially when you're swarmed or dealing with elemental resistances. You earn stat points as you level up, and you can drop them into health, attack, defense, or magic, depending on how you like to fight. But beyond that, you'll find gear, hidden blueprints, and crafting materials that can seriously boost your loadout. And Fidget, the little flying creature that follows you around, isn't just there for comic relief. She's a core part of your combat. Her magic attacks can be upgraded and combined with your own to create screen-filling effects that wipe out mobs or control space when things get chaotic. And once you start timing her abilities with your combos, the game opens up in a big way. But what really makes Dust stand out, though, is how personal it gets. The story doesn't just throw you into random dungeons. It builds a world with real characters, quiet moments, and as the mystery around Dust unravels, you start to see the full picture. And it's way deeper than the cute visuals might lead you to believe. This game was made almost entirely by one guy, which only makes it more impressive. It's got more heart than most AAA titles and proves that passion can deliver something special. Hey guys, real quick. If you're looking to buy games without breaking the bank, you need to check out Instant Gaming. They offer instant digital downloads. You buy it, you play it. No waiting, no nonsense. With over 15,000 games and entertainment products all discounted, it's one of the best places to build your collection. It's not a marketplace. They don't allow third-party sellers, so every key comes from trusted and original sources. Still unsure? They've got over 754,000 positive reviews on Trustpilot, with a 4.7 average score, and offer 24/7 human support if anything goes wrong. I use it myself, and it's a great way to support the channel. Just click the link below before your next purchase. Let's get back to the video. Vigil: The Longest Night doesn't play around. Right from the start, it throws you into a grim and twisted world that feels like a mix between Bloodborne and a dark fairy tale. You play as Layla, a warrior trying to uncover the truth behind her town's creeping nightmares. And the deeper you go, the weirder and more disturbing things get. The combat in Vigil is weighty and methodical, leaning more into precision than speed. You've got stamina to manage, dodge rolls to time, and different weapon types that change everything. From fast dual blades to slow, heavy halberds, parrying is risky, but rewarding. And knowing when to go in or back off makes a huge difference, especially against the game's tougher enemies and grotesque bosses. What really makes the combat click is how much it leans into status effects and elemental damage. You're setting enemies on fire, poisoning them, or stacking bleed damage over time. Some weapons or upgrades apply these effects passively, while others require more active timing. And enemies don't just shrug them off. Certain types are weak or resistant, so learning what works against each creature becomes part of your strategy. As you progress, you collect materials and use them to enhance weapons, boost armor, and even unlock new abilities tied to your gear. On top of that, there's a skill tree that branches into different combat styles, letting you double down on speed, tankiness, or elemental power. That flexibility keeps the game fresh and gives real weight to the choices you make as Layla gets stronger. The hand-drawn visuals in Vigil are a huge part of what makes the world so haunting. Every frame is crafted with care, and the animations are done entirely frame by frame, which gives everything this eerie, fluid motion that fits the tone perfectly. Blasphemous doesn't hold your hand, and that's exactly why it hits so hard. This brutal Metroidvania drops you into a twisted, nightmarish world soaked in religious imagery, where every step feels like a fight for survival. You play as the Penitent One, a silent warrior cursed to wander through the ruins of a fallen theocracy. The combat in Blasphemous is all about precision and commitment. Every attack has weight, and there's a slight delay to your swings that forces you to think ahead instead of mashing buttons. You've got a dodge that feels tight but unforgiving, and mistiming it usually means taking a huge hit. But what really makes it satisfying is how every enemy type demands a different approach. Some need to be parried, others baited, and a few will punish you just for getting too greedy. Add in the visceral finishers and brutal animations, and the whole system feels like a violent ballet where one mistake can cost you everything. And upgrades in Blasphemous go way beyond basic stat boosts. As you explore, you'll find relics, rosary beads, and prayer abilities that all tweak how you play. Some give passive buffs like poison resistance or faster healing, while others completely change your approach, like slowing time when you're near death or buffing your damage after a perfect parry. You also unlock new sword techniques through altars, expanding your moveset with lunges, ground slams, and combo finishers. But what sets Blasphemous apart isn't just the combat or the grotesque bosses, it's the atmosphere. The art direction blends Spanish Catholic iconography with Gothic horror, and the result is a world that feels deeply cursed and disturbingly beautiful. The exploration in Blasphemous follows classic Metroidvania rules: tight corridors, hidden rooms, and upgrades that slowly open up new paths. But the world design feels handcrafted and purposeful. Lore is everywhere, told through item descriptions, cryptic NPCs, and the environment itself. And the crazy part is that all of this got even better with the free expansions. Stir of Dawn added a whole new Game Plus mode, fresh bosses, and the Penitent system that lets you tweak how brutal your next run gets. Strife and Ruin brought in crossover content with another indie icon, and added intense platforming challenge rooms along with a full boss rush mode. Then came Wounds of Eventide, which dropped extra lore, more secrets, and a new path that leads to the true ending, with extra bosses and a revamped final sequence that ties everything together. They even added full Spanish voice acting, which fits the game's tone perfectly. All of it was free, and it turned an already solid game into a fully loaded experience that feels way bigger than what you paid for.
What?
Death's Gambit Afterlife throws you into a dark, atmospheric world full of huge bosses, each with unique mechanics that really test your reflexes and your ability to read patterns. The Afterlife version improved almost everything from the original release, adding new areas, weapons, skills, and a much larger map to explore. It also expanded the story, making the world feel more alive and the characters more meaningful. The story follows Soren, an immortal warrior bound to the service of death after a failed mission leaves him on the edge of the afterlife. As he travels through a world collapsing under the weight of corruption and despair, he's forced to confront powerful guardians and uncover the truth behind his own curse. The combat system is tight and satisfying, giving you a variety of ways to approach each fight. Every weapon has its own weight, reach, and attack speed, which makes learning their rhythm just as important as choosing the right one for each situation. Stamina management plays a huge role because every swing, dodge, or block uses up a portion of your bar, forcing you to stay calm and deliberate instead of button mashing. There's also a parry mechanic that rewards perfect timing with powerful counterattacks, and using it well can completely turn a fight around. Also, you can unlock special skills tied to each weapon type, and chaining these abilities with basic attacks creates combos that deal massive damage when used correctly. Ranged options like bows and spells add even more depth, letting you chip away at enemies from a distance or set up big finishers when they're vulnerable. Weapons and armor can also be reinforced using rare materials found throughout the world, making even your favorite early game gear viable in tougher areas. On top of that, the game features permanent talent trees that unlock powerful passive abilities, letting you specialize even further. Another standout feature in Death's Gambit Afterlife is its non-linear exploration. The world is interconnected with multiple branching paths, hidden shortcuts in secret areas. Some zones can be tackled in different orders depending on the abilities you've unlocked. And there are optional challenges scattered across the map, like mini-bosses and platforming sections, that not only test your skills but often hide valuable upgrades or lore pieces that flesh out the story even more.
You don't belong in my future.
Dead Cells is one of those games that just refuses to let go once you start playing. It's a brutal but insanely rewarding Metroidvania that mixes slick 2D combat with the unpredictability of roguelike runs. The story in Dead Cells is intentionally mysterious, throwing you into the role of a reanimated prisoner who wakes up on a cursed island with no memory of how they got there. As you explore, you start piecing together bits of lore through notes, environmental details, and cryptic dialogue from the few characters you meet. The combat feels fast and responsive, with weapons and abilities that completely change how each run plays out. You can roll through enemy attacks, cancel out of combos to react on the fly, and use traps or gadgets to control the battlefield while you keep up the pressure. Each weapon type has its own rhythm, and pairing them with the right abilities can create devastating synergies, like freezing enemies before unloading critical hits or setting up poison effects that spread through entire groups. And boss fights push everything even further, requiring you to master movement, spacing, and your chosen loadout to survive. The game also rewards aggressive play, with a system that restores a bit of health if you strike back quickly after taking damage, which adds a constant sense of urgency and keeps you fully engaged in every fight. But the progression system is what keeps you coming back. Even when you fail, you're always unlocking new blueprints, upgrading weapons, and getting stronger for the next attempt. As you collect cells from defeated enemies, you can invest them into upgrades at the end of each area, unlocking things like health flasks, higher drop rates for powerful gear, and the ability to carry over gold after death. Also, certain runes you earn from elite encounters even let you access new areas by breaking barriers or climbing walls, which opens up fresh routes and secrets you couldn't reach before. The world itself is packed with secrets, hidden paths, and shortcuts that reward exploration. And the art style is gorgeous, combining dark, atmospheric backgrounds with fluid animations that make every fight feel alive. Dead Cells also never stopped growing after launch. It's been updated with tons of free content and paid expansions that add new levels, enemies, and weapons, which means there's always something fresh waiting for you. It's easily one of the most polished and satisfying Metroidvanias around and deserves way more recognition than it usually gets. Salt and Sanctuary is one of those games that proves a small indie team can create something unforgettable. Released back in 2016, it immediately caught the attention of players who loved dark and challenging games. At its core, Salt and Sanctuary is a brutal 2D action RPG heavily inspired by the Souls series, but it manages to stand on its own with unique mechanics and atmosphere. The story puts you in the role of a shipwrecked survivor who washes up on a mysterious island after a brutal attack at sea. With no real sense of safety or direction, you're forced to explore this desolate place filled with deadly creatures, crumbling ruins, and scattered settlements tied to strange religious factions. The combat in Salt and Sanctuary is weighty and unforgiving, demanding good timing and a careful approach. Every weapon class feels different, from fast daggers and whips to massive hammers and great swords that hit like a truck, but leave you exposed if you miss. And since every attack, dodge, or block drains your stamina bar, you have to think before committing to a move. There's also a strong emphasis on parries and counters, which can completely turn a fight if you nail the timing. You use salt collected from enemies to level up your stats, but the real depth comes from the sprawling skill tree that lets you customize your build. You can unlock new weapon proficiencies, boost your health or stamina, and even open up entirely new playstyles depending on the path you choose. Weapons and armor can also be enhanced using rare materials, giving you a good reason to fully explore each area and take on tougher enemies. But one of the coolest systems in Salt and Sanctuary is how the sanctuaries work. These safe havens act as checkpoints where you can rest, level up, manage your gear, fast travel, and place statues to summon vendors or blacksmiths. And they're also tied to the game's faction system. Each sanctuary can be dedicated to a creed, and depending on which one you follow, you'll unlock different perks, merchants, and upgrades. You can even take over sanctuaries from rival factions, changing the NPCs and services available there. This adds a layer of strategy to exploration because choosing the right creed can make a big difference in how you progress through the island. If you're having fun so far, drop a like and let me know in the comments what you'd love to see in the next episode of this series. Yep, this is part of a full series, and I'm leaving the playlist link down in the description and in the card at the end, so don't miss it. Your comments give the algorithm a reason to keep this channel breathing, and yes, I really do check and reply to every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, come on, don't let your buddy Sage wander the YouTube wilderness alone. Hit that sub button and stick around. We're dropping new videos every single day, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Nights, is one of those Metroidvanias that quietly blew people away, but never really got the recognition it deserved. It mixes a hauntingly beautiful world with tight gameplay and an emotional story that stays with you long after the credits roll. You play as Lily, a mysterious young girl who wakes up in a kingdom destroyed by a cursed rain that turned everyone into monstrous undead. She's fragile and defenseless, but she can summon the spirits of fallen knights and warriors to fight for her, and each spirit brings completely different abilities to the table. The combat is fast and rewarding, with a system that pushes you to experiment with different spirit combinations to handle bosses and tough enemies. Each spirit you summon has its own attack patterns, cooldowns, and ranges, so switching between them at the right moment can completely change the flow of a fight. Timing dodges is also crucial, because many enemies hit hard and have attacks that cover a lot of ground, forcing you to stay focused and reactive. But bosses take this to the next level, with multi-phase battles that test every tool you've unlocked, and landing that final blow after a long fight always feels incredibly satisfying. You can enhance each spirit you collect by finding special materials, boosting their damage and unlocking new moves that make them even more useful in combat. Lily herself can also be upgraded with relics that grant passive bonuses like increased health, faster healing, or even a quicker dash, letting you tailor your build to your playstyle. So exploring thoroughly is always worth it, because many of these upgrade items are hidden off the main path, and finding them can completely change how tough encounters play out. And as you defeat major bosses, Lily gains new traversal powers like double jumps, air dashes, and the ability to swim through water-filled areas, which opens up paths to previously unreachable locations. This design encourages you to revisit earlier zones with fresh abilities, often uncovering hidden spirits, relics, or entire secret areas that add depth to the world. The art style is simply stunning, with soft, hand-drawn visuals that make the bleak, ruined world feel almost peaceful at times. But there's always this underlying sadness in every location you explore.
A horde of demons spilled from the shadows and fell upon city after.
Created by Koji Iga, the legendary mind behind several Castlevania classics, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night takes everything fans loved from the old days and expands it in every possible way. You play as Miriam, a young woman cursed by alchemists and slowly turning to crystal, which immediately gives the story a darker tone. The huge Gothic castle you explore is filled with secrets, dangerous monsters, and unique abilities waiting to be discovered, and it feels rewarding every time you uncover a new area or hidden path. The game stands out because of its freedom to let you build your character the way you want. There's a massive variety of weapons, spells, and shard powers you collect from fallen enemies, allowing you to mix and match abilities to create your own combat style. Each weapon class has its own attack patterns and special techniques, from heavy greatswords with wide swings to fast whips and precise rapiers that can keep enemies at bay. Some weapons even have hidden command inputs that unlock unique moves, adding another layer of depth for players who want to master them. And speaking of bosses, Bloodstained has some truly epic ones, and they push you to use every tool available, so learning when to dodge, counter, or use a shard ability at the perfect time makes each victory feel earned. The upgrade system in Bloodstained goes way beyond just making your weapons stronger. As you progress, you can enhance your shard abilities using materials found throughout the castle, which not only boosts their power, but can also lower MP cost or, for some abilities, shorten cooldowns. Recipes you discover let you craft new gear and consumables, and cooking meals gives permanent stat bonuses that really add up over time. There's also a rank and grade system for shards that makes hunting for duplicate shards worthwhile, since each copy strengthens the ability further. All of this makes exploring every corner of the castle even more rewarding because you're constantly finding ways to push Miriam's potential higher. One more thing that stands out in Bloodstained is the quest system tied to the different NPCs you meet along the way. Many of these characters have personal requests that range from hunting specific monsters to collecting rare items scattered throughout the castle. Completing these quests often rewards you with unique gear, powerful consumables, or even entirely new shards that you wouldn't get otherwise. Visually, it combines a 2.5D art style with gorgeous details, and the soundtrack perfectly captures that gothic vibe fans expect. It also received plenty of updates and improvements over time, making it even better than when it first launched. Aeterna Noctis is one of those games that came out swinging with ambition but flew under the radar for most people. It's a 2D Metroidvania drenched in dark fantasy vibes with hand-drawn visuals that honestly look like they belong in a high-end graphic novel. You take control of the King of Darkness, stripped of his powers, trying to reclaim what was lost in a massive non-linear world that's constantly pushing you to master every jump, slash, and ability. This isn't one of those chill exploration games. Aeterna Noctis is tough as nails. Every area is packed with hazards, traps, enemies, and tight platforming sections that'll test your patience and your reflexes. But what makes it special is how it blends that old-school difficulty with modern level design. The map is huge and interconnected, and backtracking never feels like a chore because there's always something new to find, like an upgrade, a shortcut, or a brutal challenge waiting around the corner. You've got melee combos, ranged attacks, dashes, and special powers that evolve over time. And if you want to survive, you'll need to use everything. The game also throws in a skill tree that actually matters. You're not just unlocking extra damage or filler upgrades, you're shaping how you fight. You can lean into speed, mobility, or raw power, depending on how you want to handle each boss or zone. Some abilities even change how your movement flows during fights, letting you chain dodges into slashes or turn defensive moves into aggressive counters. You're constantly finding heart fragments, colored gems, and hidden items that boost your health, reduce ability cooldowns, enhance elemental damage, or even unlock new movement options like advanced dashes and teleport tricks. They open up access to entirely new areas, let you survive tougher encounters, or give you smarter ways to navigate older zones. It's the kind of game where dying teaches you, and overcoming a tough section actually feels earned. And while it might not have the same fame as bigger titles in the genre, Aeterna Noctis stands out for players who want depth, challenge, and style in one place. Hollow Knight drops you into a decaying underground kingdom where silence speaks louder than words. There's no hand-holding here. You explore at your own pace, get lost, fight to survive, and slowly piece together what happened to this fallen world. Every area is handcrafted, layered with secrets, shortcuts, and surprises. One moment you're in a crumbling city, the next you're deep in a fungal jungle or trapped in a haunted crypt. The atmosphere is thick, almost oppressive, but it's impossible to look away. And the minimalist storytelling works because the world feels alive even without a single line of dialogue. Combat is tight and brutal. You've got your basic slash, spells, and some movement abilities, but it's how you use them that makes the difference. Most enemies have distinct patterns, and even weaker ones can mess you up if you get sloppy. Boss fights especially demand focus, and every jump, dash, and slash has to be deliberate. There's no flashy lock-on system or easy combos here, just pure mechanics. And once you unlock charms, the combat starts to evolve. You'll find nailsmiths that boost your weapon damage, new spells that open up combat options, and movement upgrades like wall jumps, double jumps, and air dashes that completely shift how you explore. What's cool is how the game hides these behind real challenges, so earning them always feels like an achievement. And because upgrades are scattered all over, every corner you check and every boss you beat might lead to something that makes the next zone way more manageable or way more fun. But one of the most unique mechanics in Hollow Knight is the way it handles death and recovery. When you die, you leave behind a shade that holds your geo, the game's currency, and part of your soul meter. And to get everything back, you have to fight and defeat your own shade. It's a simple system, but it adds real tension, especially if you die deep in a tough area. Suddenly, retracing your steps becomes this high-stakes mission where you're low on resources, maybe still rattled from the last fight, and now you've got to take on your own shadow just to break even. If you're still with me, the link to the playlist is popping up in the card right now. This video is part of a full series, and trust me, they're packed with even more amazing picks you'll definitely want on your radar. And hey, don't forget to support your buddy Sage by subscribing to the channel and leaving a comment on each video. It keeps the algorithm happy, and honestly, it's the digital equivalent of tossing me a high five.